Hey, what's up, y'all? Yasmin 86. Um, Last night, as you all know, was the interview with Rihanna on Oprah, on her own show. It came on last night at 9 p.m. So, of course, I watched it on my DVR, and it starts off basically Oprah goes to Barbados, where Rihanna is from, and they start the conversation off about how she left Barbados when she was 16 years old, and that was a very young age, and Rihanna was just basically saying how she don't know she could have did it if she was a mom, but her mom let her do that and go to the United States or whatnot because everything was kind of going well for her as far as her music career. And then it's talks about how she got signed and how the whole story about how Jay-Z and Leigh Reed signed her. Uh, Jay-Z in the clip, he was basically saying how they met Rihanna at like 6 p.m. and like 2 in the morning. They signed her. Like, it was like that quick. They knew she was a star, which I'm like, okay, that's debatable, but whatever. We're not gonna get into that. So then, recently, Rihanna's grandmother died. They call her Grand Dolly, and she passed away, I believe a month ago. And Oprah was asking her, what was the best advice, I guess, that her grandma gave her. Rihanna said, basically, her grandma said something about she wants Rihanna to marry a guy that loves, that the guy loves her more than she loves the guy, basically. And basically, how, a lot of times women, they're maternal and they give themselves to men all the time, unselfishly, and that even it's going to be that way with your husband, but if he's willing to meet you halfway, then that means he loves you a little more. So I like that. Actually, I agree with that. And then she asked her about the last great memory that she wanted to share with the world that she had with her grandma. And Rhonda was saying how she was doing all these performances and she had like a day off, and she was in New York because her dad knew she was been sick for a while, and it was kind of grieving her already, but she, was more, I guess it was more severe, her case. She had cancer, her grandmother. And so she saw her and she came in, and her grandmother didn't know she was coming, and she kind of surprised her, and she was like, well, where's the party? They from Barbados, they got the accent. I can't really do the accent. But yes, yeah, so she was like, that was her fondest memory. And then Oprah asked Rihanna, how does she feel about how she becomes so comfortable in her sexual skin? Which I'm like, sexual skin? Well, how about she rephrase the question? How does she become so comfortable in her sexuality? I would have preferred that. Whatever, it's Oprah. But Rihanna was like, she basically faked it. She kind of, faked it. Now she's 24, she's kind of more comfortable with in her sexuality. But, before she just kind of faked it, I guess, until she felt comfortable. And Oprah asked her about the whole role model. Did she see herself as a role model? She's like, no, because at the end of the day, she's human. She has flaws. And she doesn't like, the high standards or the pedestal people like to put celebrities on, because at the end of the day, they're just like anybody else and they make mistakes. And so she doesn't like being considered a role model, which I kind of agree with, but that comes with the the territory. When you're a celebrity and you're known, kids want to look up to you. They want to, especially for her, they want to listen to her music. They're going to dress like her and all, other stuff. But I get, that everybody's human. They have to live their life, and at the end of the day, you got to raise your own kids. Celebrities not supposed to be raising your kids, people. So of course, they were in clips this past week. Like, they were showing little clips of her asking about Chris Brown and that whole situation that happened 3.5 years ago, which I'm kind of sick of, because just like, okay, you guys, they talked it to death. But to be honest, Rihanna hasn't really commented on anything. Her relationship with Chris has always been rumors that they're was getting back together, all this different kind of stuff. They were seeing each other, and she asked about what happened that night, and Rihanna basically was like, what, I was very, embarrassed. I lost my best friend, who's my Chris, because, they were friends before they started dating. And everything just changed, like, in a split, in one night, basically, and how that kind of affected her. And she didn't know how to interpret all those feelings. And it's one thing to go through that, but then to go through it in front of the world, like, it was a lot on her. And, she said, and even though she was mad and confused and hurt about, what Chris Brown did to her, she did feel, I guess, protective of him, and just basically how she felt like everybody was going to blame him, and that they was going to call him a monster, and they was going to blame him and call him a monster without looking at the source, basically, looking at why he did what he did. Like, is there any issues he might have had in his past, which I know, because I'm a Chris Brown fan, that he had, his mom was abused by his stepfather when he was younger. And, and usually, in those type of cases, usually a child sees that and they're like, I'm not going to do that, because I see my mom go through that. Or, it's basically, I like how she was saying they wasn't looking at the source. They wasn't looking to say, well, why did he do what he did, and he need help. It was more like he's a monster, and they kind of just, basically went in on Chris, as we all know. And then she asks, Oprah asks Rihanna what's her relationship with Chris Brown now. And she said, we're friends, and we're very close, working on a friendship. They've built the trust, and that they love each other, and they probably always will. And that's what happens. When you ever fall in love, you can't really turn off those feelings. If you've really been in love. And then Oprah asks, are they seeing each other? And she's like, no, he's in a relationship of his own, which we all know Chris Brown has been dating that Karrueche child, Karrueche K, I'm gonna call it K, for a while now. And she's like, I'm single, but we've just been, we've built this friendship. And then it was rumors, of course, that Rihanna was on vacation in Central Pay, and Chris went and he shot a video with Ludacris and Swiss Beats in Central Pay. And she was like, and Oprah said, well, it was rumors that you guys saw each other. Is that true? And Rihanna was like, yeah, we went to a mutual friend's party on a boat. And Oprah said, well, how do you feel when you see Chris Brown? And she's just like, it's awkward because I still love him. And, I have to kind of compose myself, because, kind of put on, the poker face and kind of, pretend like he doesn't affect me in that type of way or whatnot. And, she was just basically saying it's not even about her and Chris Brown being together, because she loves him and she just wants him to be at peace, and she's not at peace when he's not, when he's sad, if he's lonely, and she just really wants that for him. And, I'll try not to watch, I was trying to watch the interview, just to watch the interview and not like be on Twitter or anything and watch people comments, because people, they go off and they crazy and they be saying crazy things. And I saw a lot of comments and people were saying, well, why are you guys so happy that she basically saying she still loves her abuser, the guy who abused her. And my thing was, I just like the fact that she was honest. It had nothing to do with the fact like saying, oh, she said she still loved Chris Brown after what happened. For me, it was more so that she was just being honest about her feelings. Like, everybody, expect her to hate Chris Brown, all this time because of what happened, and for her to have ill feelings towards him, and for her to say, what happened, and I forgave him for what he's done. But, and I can't tell you guys to, not forgive him or feel a certain type of way. But, at the end of the day, what happened, 3 years ago happened to me. And I personally choose to forgive his actions. And, I've moved past that. And I just thought, that was big because, I'm sure when everything popped off, her people was like, you got to kind of separate yourself. You kind of make it seem like, you got to play the victim card and do all this stuff like that. And this is probably how she felt the whole time. It's, mind you, it's been 3.5 years. And she's probably felt like, she's loved Chris Brown, and she's told Oprah that he was the love of her life and was her first love and whatnot. And so she probably always felt this way, but she never felt comfortable expressing herself as far as the situation, because she felt she was going to be judged. And it's almost like now she's kind of like, okay, this is how I feel. Now, regardless if you like it or not, I understand, everybody's entitled to their own opinion, because what occurred 3 years ago was really, really bad, and it was a bad situation, but I'm choosing to move on, and, that's what it is. And, it's not even about, like, do I feel like, oh, now they're going to get back together and Chris Brown's going to dump his girlfriend for Rihanna? No. I just, I just respected her honesty. I liked the interview. Like, I'm not a big fan of Rihanna, never have been. I like some of her songs and whatnot, but for me, looking at the interview, I felt her on a personal level. And I can, definitely relate to the whole thing of, when you really experience love and you really care for somebody, whether or not you're with them, you know, um, if you really share something special, like a part of you will always love them, even if you're not in love with them, but you love them as a person because of the experience, or that's loving somebody that way. If it's real love, you will always care about that person and their well-being, and just the fact that they went through such, that was a horrible thing to happen to her, and for her to say she still wants the best for him, like, that's a lot, because she could easily harbor those feelings and be like, you know what. And what she said, that she said she thought she hated Chris for a long time, but she could harbor those feelings, and she would never be able to move on that, in that sense of, when bad things happen to you, you don't forget, you never forget, but you forgive the situation, and you like, okay, this happens to me, what can I do now to move forward and to learn from whatever experience it was. And I could really relate to her on a personal level, and I was just looking at her like, wow, she was just being just very honest. And the situation, Oprah was like, well, people think what Chris Brown did, which was really bad, how can you forgive him? And she was like, basically because she had to have her forgive her father for what he did to them when she was young, because he was abusive to her mom, but she had to separate the fact that he was a good father and a good he was a good father, but he wasn't a really good husband. So I really, enjoyed the interview, and you guys leave your comments on how you felt about the interview. I really enjoyed it. So probably see you later on night. Love and Hip Hop comes on Atlanta. So peace.